Hope that you know that I really did sit and think about this for a while. I really absorbed these comments. I have no malice towards any of these folks. Please don't misunderstand. I blacked out their usernames. I know you could go find them. I'm not trying to get anybody to go harass these people. I think that these are honest comments that came from honest people who really have concerns about what's going on with AI, and I understand that. It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and I just wanted to talk about a previous video that I made and some comments that I got. I recently posted this video about writing a novel, and I used free and open source software to do it, including making the cover image. I used AI for this, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the novel. It's something that took me a long time to finish. It took me 10 years just because I wasn't sure how I wanted to finish the novel up and end it. I hope that anybody who goes to read it enjoys it, and if you guys want to, that's great. But I wanted to tell you about the process that I went through and how I used open source to do all of this. I didn't have to pay for Microsoft Office or some expensive suite to do these things. It was really something amazing and really tells you about the power of open source. That said, I did get some comments in the comments, and most of the comments were great and positive, and so thank you very much. And I think these people were positive too, so don't misunderstand. But they definitely left some comments that said, they were dissatisfied that I used AI to create my cover image. And there was some comments back and forth between them and other people. My reasoning is several things. One, I love open source, and I believe that if you can make AI open source, it's going to be a much more positive thing for all of us in the long run, because if we don't do that, it's going to be these big companies controlling AI, and they're going to keep charging and charging and charging for using their AI. And eventually it's going to be a biased system, which I don't want. I want the open source world to be able to create systems without bias, if at all possible. AI is just another buzz term you see on every job posting. Every company in the world is starting up, and they're going to do AI, and they're going to use AI for whatever the heck the problem is. I don't think AI is the solution in every situation, but I do think that AI is here, and it's here to stay. Now, these guys were not upset with me about using AI. What threw them off is that I used AI to create art. They felt like I should go and actually hire an artist. Got several reasons for why I didn't do that right now. One, I don't have the funds to be paying someone to do this. And then I really had to think about this. So you can see this was 5 or 6 days ago when they made these comments. This is not something that I just saw it and right away came and made a video. I've really been thinking about it. I talked to my wife about it. And the reason I talked to her about it is that her brother, my brother-in-law, who's no longer with us, was an artist. A true artist, a man who could paint, a man who taught other people how to create art, a man who knows what he's doing when it comes to art. And I asked her, really true, like what did she believe he would think about AI and the ability for AI to create art? And she was like, she knows her brother, and she just smiled and said he'd love it. He'd say, wait, you created that fast just by typing some stuff in? He would have been all over me to show him how to do it, show him how it works, show him how to make it happen. I said this in the video, but maybe I didn't make it clear enough. It was not like I just went and typed something in and it gave me the perfect image the first time. There was a lot of back and forth of me refining and trying to get it to do the things that I wanted and trying to get it to understand. And I even switched models, and I switched different systems to try to get it to work the way I wanted. It's not something where you just go and tell it and it's magical and it's right there, the exact thing you wanted every time. It definitely takes some thought and some work and some effort. And AI is still very new. The I, as I always tell people, is still not actually really there. It's just the process was definitely something I had to kind of go through to understand it better. But my wife said that, her brother would have loved it. He would have loved to be able to get in there and start doing things and creating something using a tool like AI as an artist, because it is still a tool that you're using to do this. Now, I get it. You guys want people to use, Photoshop or GIMP or, whatever else kind of tools are out there. I'm not an artist, so I don't know. One of the guys in one of their statements said, after I replied, said, hey, well, you could have drawn it yourself and nobody would really care. But that's not true. When I told my wife what that said, she laughed like literally out loud, because she knows that I can't even draw a stick figure that looks good. If I'd have drawn it, it would have looked like a child drew it, and it would have made people think it's a book for children. And it's not a book for children. It's a novel for people. I've aged it around 13 and up. I would honestly say more like 15 and up is probably better, but I know what I looked at when I was 12 and 11 and 13 and what I read. So I felt like this was probably in that time frame. I intentionally went through and tried to take out as many curse words as possible without losing context of the story, which is most of them, if not all of them. So I wanted to make it where kids could get it as well and enjoy it. But it's not a book made for children. It's not a book made for young children. And I didn't want the cover to look like it was a book made for young children. I do worry about those things, and I do look at those things in that way because of what I've done as my job and my career for the last 15 years, which is, how does this present to the intended person you want to be looking at it and getting something from it? I also just started thinking, like, I get that people are worried about AI coming along and taking their jobs. I don't know that we can just say we shouldn't use AI for that. We shouldn't let computers do that for us. We shouldn't make this a more efficient process. I really had to think about this for a long time, and I started thinking, the people who made the seats for wagons that were drawn by horses, they could have said, I don't want you to make cars. I make seats for wagons drawn by horses. This is where we should stay. We should not be doing this. Hopefully they pivoted and said, I could make a seat that's comfortable for you to ride in your car. People that made wagon wheels, I hope that they pivoted and figured out how to make wheels and tires for cars, axles. I mean, all the things that you think about of anything that's before the modern conveniences we have today. Really think about. Somebody came along and had to say, this has to change because we can make it better. We can make it more efficient. We can make it something. And the people who were in those professions that it affected had to change. They had to adapt. And I know I'm using a very simple analogy here, but I want my point to come across, that people who are artists, they're not going to be left out in the cold, because AI is not creating art. It is working off of the works of others to generate an image based on your criteria. The art is much more in feeding it what it uses to generate those images, feeding it the information to get it to generate the correct image that somebody wants. There's art in that, because being somebody who knows how to explain that and how to fine tune those details, that's an artist. And artists need to start learning to pivot right now, because this is going to be where it's going to go. If you're a video maker, if you don't realize that a computer can generate an entire video based on a description or a script, you need to wake up. It's gonna happen. My job as a creator here on YouTube is gonna change because of AI. I love to record these videos and introduce you guys to more and more open source, but at some point, somebody's gonna be able to go and type it into a chat bot and say, hey, I'd like a video about this tool. And AI is going to go and do all the research and figure it all out. And it's going to be able to put together a video that's more succinct, much cleaner, much faster, and do it very quickly and put together a really nice thumbnail and all the stuff that's going to get you to click on it. And you're going to want to go watch that thing, because it's going to be the information that you need. It's going to give you the output and the product that you're after. That's okay. I want to be the person that's telling it, hey, go create that video, because people are going to be interested in this software. I want to be the person who pivots with it when it's time. I think if we don't recognize that new tools are going to come along, we're going to be stuck. And at some point you get stuck in a place where it might harm your career, it might harm your capabilities, it might harm what you love to do. Now, that said, I'm going to make another analogy. I love to play piano. I write music. I've written music for a long time. It's something that I just really enjoy. It's nothing that's ever been made for somebody else to consume. It's just for me. It is something that it's a passion. It's a hobby, because I'm not a professional musician. I'm an average piano player, maybe a little bit below average. And I can play other instruments and I do okay. I'm not the greatest musician in the world by any stretch, but I love to do it. It is so fun and just relaxing to get in there and play the piano. I can sing while I play. I'm not a great singer. Nobody wants to hear me sing any songs, but I like to sing the songs that I know how to play, that I grew up with, because they're fun and it's fun for me and relaxing. That said, AI today can create music. It can create songs. You can tell it, go create a song about my robot dog and put it in the style of hip hop with a country backbeat somehow. And it's going to try its best to do it. And it might be an okay sounding song. But guess what? AI is just using all of the music that other people have already created to build something out that you've told it, here's what I want. It's the same idea. You're going to have these jobs that are going to pivot. That doesn't make me feel like I shouldn't go play the piano anymore. That doesn't make me feel like I shouldn't go sing songs while I play. I love to do it. It's my passion. It's something that I just like to do. I think that we have to realize that technology is always going to move forward. We can't say technology shouldn't move forward anymore. We can't say that technology shouldn't help me do this thing in a more efficient way. If we had done that all along, just think about how far back we would be in time. Think about how little we would have and how much work it would be to do all of the things that we do today in an instant. We wouldn't even have computers. And maybe some of you prefer that. I don't know, but I think computers and I think the internet and I think all these other things are incredible advancements that have helped humankind overall do more and be better. If we don't want AI to do things for us, if we think AI is taking away that thing that I love, then you need to figure out how to pivot around that. It's not a great thing and it's not something that everybody's going to agree with me on. I understand that. You're not going to agree with me on it. It's okay. If you do agree with me, great. I'm not trying to start a flame war. I'm just trying to say, look, I get where you guys are coming from. I really had to sit down and think about this for a while because I wanted to make sure that I had a good response to this. But I do believe that AI is 100% going to be in your lives from this point forward. And the more that I've seen it and the more that I've decided I need to get in there and play with it and be somebody at the forefront and not somebody who's trying to fight it, the more I've realized, first of all, the I is not there yet. It's artificial guesswork. It's artificial something. It's not intelligence because it's wrong so much of the time. I mean, I literally the other day, I downloaded DeepSeek just because everybody was talking about it the other week, a couple months ago, whenever it came out. I downloaded DeepSeek and I got the 1.2 billion parameter, I think is what it was. And then I went and got the 8 billion parameter version. So these are very different sizes. And if you haven't seen some of the videos out there about how AI works and large language models, it's worth it for you to go check those out. Network Chuck has done multiple and he's entertaining and he does a really great job. And I couldn't start to do it justice the way he has. I'm still thinking about doing an AI video, but I haven't yet. Just talking about that. The 1.2 billion model just means it has 1.2 billion parameters that it can work with. The 7 billion is obviously about 4 or 5 times that it can work with. So I went out there and got both models and I asked it the same exact question for both models. I said, how old is the universe? And it's interesting. It gives you its thought process when you use DeepSeek. Like, how is it coming up with the answer it's going to give you in this chat? And the 1.2 billion model, all of its thought processes were really good. If I was a college professor, it would have gotten partial credit because it would have written down like, here's how I'm coming up with my answer. And all of the stuff it thought was accurate. But then it comes out and says the universe is 138 billion years old. Well, no, it missed a decimal point there. It was just, I was blown away when I saw the final answer after I saw the thought process that it had to get there. I thought, okay, something weird's going on. So I thought, let me ask the 8 billion parameter model. And it had the almost exact same thought process, a little bit more detailed. But it did come up with 13.8 billion years approximately, which I thought, that's amazing. And then I've asked it, how old is the Milky Way galaxy? And again, it had a really great thought process. And again, the 1.2 billion model was wrong. The 8 billion model had a much more accurate answer. And it's not that it can't be wrong when it's a larger model. It's wrong a lot when they use the larger models. It's just so wrong. And again, just going back to the image that I wanted to create for my cover, it was not like I typed it in and I got the image I wanted the first time or the second time. I mean, I went through this like 30 or 40 times And it was not in one day. It was me going back and forth and trying to figure out, how do I refine this? How do I get it to really give me what I'm looking for? Maybe I'm using the wrong model. Let me go find a different one. Let me, all these things that really went into it. It is not magic, and it's not just going to take people's jobs away. So I want you guys to understand that and know that I'm very, very certain that AI is not bad or evil. I am very, very certain that the way that it's generated today, it can be poisoned. So please understand that. Like the people who say, oh, it can do programming, it's amazing, I'm going to go ask it how to write this thing in Python, and it can probably tell you pretty close how to do it in Python. There's tons of Python code out there for it to read from. The problem is when they grab these large language models, they're grabbing snippets from somewhere and telling it, here's something to use for a basis for you to think with. And I'm putting my fingers up and doing double quotes. The problem is that nefarious people could go in and give it not good programming practices or things that would be security issues that work, but they're not the right way to do it. And if they feed it that enough, it's going to give you that information back as the right way to do something. Again, it's not intelligent enough to know this is bad and it's a security problem. It's going to go off of whatever it's been fed. So it could give you bad things. And if you ask it mathematical information, it could give you the wrong answer. And if you don't know how to do math and check it yourself, you're going to have a problem. I think it will get there someday. It's not there today. I think it's really interesting stuff, and I think it's really awesome stuff. I hope you guys will understand that it's not me trying to hurt somebody else by not asking them to do my artwork. It's not me trying to hurt anybody by saying I used AI to do the artwork. I'm proud that I used it and that I was able to get it to do what I wanted. And I believe that if we keep AI open, it's going to be one of the greatest tools we can have. But we definitely have to realize it's coming, and we need to pivot and understand it and be the people who are taking charge and not the people who are afraid or fighting it, because it's definitely coming. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I truly appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate everybody who comments all the time, no matter what the comments are. I try to take feedback and really think about it and ingest it and try to give replies that help and make sense and let you know kind of where I'm coming from. Whether you agree with me or not, it's okay. We can disagree. If everybody in the world agreed, it'd be a really boring place. So I definitely want to hear things when you guys disagree with me, as long as you're polite and courteous and truly I believe that you're coming from a sincere spot. It doesn't hurt my feelings whenever you tell me that I didn't do a good job, or I need to fix my audio again, or that you hated my video, or you hate the software that I talked about this day for whatever reason. It's okay. Everybody is entitled to have their opinion, and I'm glad that you guys are able to form your opinions. I hope you form them based on really good information. I try to be open-minded and think about things really hard whenever people give me feedback, to make sure that I'm not taking it the wrong way and that I'm taking it in the spirit it was intended. I hope you enjoyed this and you got something out of it. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along in this open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.